It's the time of year where you gotta get spooky, so I dug deep in the gaming crypt to unearth 15 of the best horror games you never played. I put links to any full reviews just below the like button, but for now, let's dive in. Up first is a game I'm shocked more people don't talk about, Fobia's St. Dinfna Hotel. Developed by Pulsatrix Studios in 2022, Fobia is a first-person survival horror game that blends psychological tension, puzzle solving, and gory action. Set in a mysterious and decaying hotel, you play as Roberto, a journalist investigating strange events tied to disappearances and occult rumors surrounding the St. Dinfna Hotel. As you delve deeper into the hotel's labyrinthine halls, you encounter grotesque creatures, shifting realities, and secrets that blur the lines between the supernatural and conspiracy. The atmosphere is haunting, with eerie lighting, detailed environments, and a sense of dread that permeates every corner. The narrative unfolds through exploration and uncovering clues, and things get pretty wild by the end, clearly inspired by classic survival horror games like Resident Evil and Silent Hill. Combat is minimal yet butt-clenching, with limited ammo and resources, increasing the tension as you fend off nightmarish enemies. What makes Fobia stand out is its focus on time manipulation mechanics, where Roberto uses a special camera to view different realities. This adds a unique layer to both puzzles and exploration, forcing you to think beyond the immediate surroundings to solve challenges and uncover hidden areas. Fobia's St. Dinfna Hotel is a must-play for fans of immersive psychological horror. Next up is The Beast Inside. Developed by Illusion Ray in 2019, The Beast Inside is a psychological horror game that blends intense horror with a gripping narrative told across two timelines. The story alternates between Adam, a CIA codebreaker in the Cold War era, and Nicholas, a man living in the 19th century, both of whom are connected by a mysterious diary that reveals chilling secrets about the past. You can feel the atmospheric tension, which is heightened by its highly detailed environments and realistic visuals, powered by Unreal Engine's photogrammetry. As Adam, you explore your new, isolated home while uncovering dark government secrets, while Nicholas's timeline thrusts you into more supernatural and nightmarish situations, complete with puzzles and terrifying encounters. Gameplay combines exploration, puzzle solving, and survival mechanics with a heavy emphasis on psychological horror. Expect to be chased by disturbing creatures and enemies, usually without any way to defend yourself. The narrative constantly keeps you on edge, and the switching between timelines adds depth and intrigue as both stories gradually intertwine. With its solid storytelling, immersive atmosphere, and mix of horror subgenres, The Beast Inside is perfect for fans of narrative-driven horror games with a psychological twist. Okay, let's talk about Signalis. Developed by Rose Engine in 2022, Signalis is a love letter to classic survival horror games, blending sci-fi, psychological horror, and a pixel art aesthetic to create a deeply unsettling and atmospheric experience. Set in a dystopian future, you play as Elster, a replica who crash lands on an icy, desolate planet while searching for her missing partner. As you explore the labyrinthine underground facility, you uncover disturbing secrets, nightmarish creatures, and the remnants of a fallen authoritarian regime. The gameplay is a total throwback to the likes of those classic horror games on the PS1, complete with resource management, combat with limited ammo, and intricate environmental puzzles. You must navigate claustrophobic environments, scavenging for supplies while facing off against grotesque enemies. Every encounter is tense, forcing you to balance exploration with survival. Its minimalist storytelling uses cryptic messages, scattered documents, and fragmented memories to piece together its layered narrative, exploring themes of identity, loss, and the horrors of war and technology. The abstract and psychological elements deepen the mystery, creating a surreal experience where reality and memories blur. Signalis is the total package, blending retro charm with modern design sensibilities, delivering a thought-provoking and chilling journey through a dystopian sci-fi nightmare. Up next, and coming in hot, is The Killing Antidote. Developed by Metal Star Studio and just released after a lengthy playtest period, The Killing Antidote is 1 part Resident Evil and 1 part hot girl dress-up simulator. You play as Jodie, a brave journalist who seeks out the truth behind the infection ravaging mankind, turning them into horrific creatures. You'll skulk around the stunningly haunting environments brought to life with great lighting and environmental sounds to find clues, solve puzzles, and gather resources. You're armed to the teeth with all sorts of melee weapons like hatchets and knives that you can hack the enemies with, but you can also throw them and pull them from the corpses, which is never not satisfying. You'll also get tons of guns, mostly the usual like pistols, shotguns, assault rifles, and the like, as well as explosives like grenades you can use to clear a room. And you can make sure enemies don't get back up with a Dead Space-like head stomp. Hell yeah. Even with all the tools at your disposal, staying alive is easier said than done, since there's a ton of different enemies all thirsting for your face. And speaking of thirsting, as you explore, you'll find all sorts of outfits for Jodie, and sure, you could ask why Jodie would wear such impractical clothes amidst a zombie apocalypse. And I'd tell you to stop asking so many stupid questions. So yeah, a very competent, surprisingly creepy survival horror game with gory combat, really clever puzzles, and a hot protagonist in skimpy clothes. Yes, please. Moving on to Silver Chains. Developed by Cracked Heads Games in 2019, Silver Chains is a first-person psychological horror game that blends an eerie atmosphere, intricate puzzles, and an unsettling narrative. Set in an abandoned mansion, you play as Peter, a man who wakes up in a creepy, decrepit house after a car crash. As he searches for answers and a way to escape, he uncovers terrifying secrets about the mansion's past and his own connection to it. The game focuses on exploration and puzzle solving over combat. You'll wander through dark, hauntingly detailed corridors, solving puzzles to progress while being stalked by Mother, a terrifying entity that can appear at any moment. With no way to fight back, your only options are to run and hide, which amplifies the tension and sense of vulnerability throughout the experience. Visually, Silver Chains shines with its atmospheric gothic setting. The mansion is filled with chilling details and unnerving sounds, continually building a sense of dread. The story gradually reveals itself through notes, diary entries, and haunting flashbacks, blending supernatural horror with personal tragedy. While Silver Chains delivers a solid horror experience, it relies too much on jump scares, and the somewhat linear structure can feel limiting. However, for fans of narrative-heavy horror games with strong atmospheric design, Silver Chains is the perfect haunted house horror for Halloween. Next up is Oxide Room 104. Developed by Wild Sphere in 2022, Oxide Room 104 is a psychological horror game that combines escape room mechanics with survival horror elements. Set in a creepy abandoned motel, you play as Matthew, a man who wakes up disoriented and injured in a bathtub with no memory of how he got there. I mean, we've all been there, right? Your goal is to find a way out of the motel, but things quickly spiral into a nightmarish ordeal, with body horror abominations and disturbing events standing in your way. The design focuses on tense exploration, environmental puzzles, and decision-making. The choices you make can lead to different outcomes, meaning multiple playthroughs can result in unique experiences. You'll need to scavenge for items, solve puzzles, and manage limited resources to survive, which is easier said than done. And each time you die, the traps, puzzles, and enemies are different and more horrific. This is such a cool mechanic that I've never seen done quite like this before. The unsettling atmosphere, combined with gruesome body horror visuals and eerie sound design, never eases up, keeping you on edge from beginning to end. The game isn't heavy on combat, so tension comes from avoiding enemies and making the right choices to stay alive. While Oxide Room 104 isn't as polished as some bigger horror titles, its blend of psychological scares, puzzles, and branching story paths make it a total hidden gem. Moving on to Daymare 1994 Sandcastle. Developed by Invader Studios in 2023, Daymare 1994 is a third-person survival horror prequel to Daymare 1998, which makes sense. Set before the events of the first game, as most prequels do, You play as Delilah Reyes, a former government spy turned elite soldier for Hades, tasked with investigating a secret underground facility where a catastrophic event has occurred. The game mixes classic survival horror elements with modern mechanics heavily inspired by Resident Evil, especially when it started to pivot to more action horror. The combat is fast-paced, with a strong focus on resource management as you use a variety of weapons to fend off mutated creatures. One of the coolest mechanics is the Frost Grip. This weapon can freeze enemies or interact with the environment for solving puzzles. Daymare 1994 emphasizes exploration and uncovering the mysterious backstory of the disaster, with scattered logs and environmental clues offering pieces of a larger puzzle. Atmosphere is awesome, with dimly lit hallways, ominous sound design, and tense encounters with horrific enemies. Survival horror fans will appreciate the nods to the genre's roots. While it doesn't reinvent the genre, Daymare 1994 Sandcastle delivers a solid, nostalgic survival horror experience for those looking for atmospheric tension, creepy enemies, and a classic horror gameplay. Next up is Mundaun. Developed by Hidden Fields in 2021, Mundaun is a hand-drawn first-person horror adventure set in the eerie Swiss Alps. The game follows Curtin, a young man who returns to the remote village of Mundaun after learning of his grandfather's mysterious death in a barn fire. As Curtin investigates, he uncovers dark secrets and strange happenings tied to supernatural forces haunting the mountain. The art style is unlike anything I've ever seen before, where every texture is hand-penciled, giving everything a distinct, eerie aesthetic that feels both unsettling and dreamlike. The game blends folklore, psychological horror, and atmospheric tension, creating a slow burn experience that draws you into its nightmarish world. The gameplay is mostly focused on exploration, puzzle solving, and survival elements, with some combat mechanics that require you to fend off otherworldly enemies. However, combat isn't the primary focus. Instead, Mundaun is all about its haunting atmosphere, dreamlike storytelling, and navigating the creepy, labyrinthine environments while solving puzzles. As the story unfolds, you'll face increasingly bizarre and disturbing encounters, with choices that can influence the outcome. Mundaun excels at creating a deeply unsettling and immersive horror experience, one that sticks with you long after the credits roll. Next on the list is Observer System Redux. Developed by Bloober Team in 2020, Observer System Redux is a remastered version of the 2017 cyberpunk psychological horror game Observer. Set in the year 2084, the game plunges you into a dystopian future where you assume the role of Daniel Lazarski, a neural detective voiced by the late Rutger Hauer. Lazarski's job is to hack into people's minds to investigate crimes, uncover their secrets, and solve mysteries. The story kicks off when Daniel receives a call from his estranged son, leading him to a rundown tenement building where reality and nightmares begin to blur. What sets Observer apart is its atmospheric blend of cyberpunk and horror, combining futuristic tech-noir visuals with disturbing psychological elements. The remastered version introduces improved graphics, ray tracing, new side quests, and expanded storylines, making it even more immersive. The gameplay involves exploring the decaying, gritty environments, hacking into the minds of suspects to experience their memories, and solving puzzles in these fragmented, dreamlike sequences. The hacking sequences are unsettling and abstract, filled with psychological horror as you witness fractured realities and disturbing visuals tied to each character's fears and trauma. The story touches on deep themes like identity, control, and the dehumanization of society in a hyper-technological world. For fans of cyberpunk and horror, Observer System Redux delivers a deeply immersive and unsettling journey. Moving on to Layers of Fear, also developed by Bloober Team in 2016. Layers of Fear is a first-person psychological horror game where you descend into madness. You assume the role of a disturbed painter, who's obsessed with completing his masterpiece. As you explore the eerie, ever-shifting Victorian mansion, you uncover the dark, twisted story of the painter's life, family, and his spiraling mental state. The game delves into themes of obsession, guilt, and insanity, making for a deeply unsettling experience. Most would probably call this a walking simulator, where you navigate the twisting halls of the mansion and solve puzzles that reveal pieces of the painter's troubled past. The mansion itself is a key character, constantly changing in strange ways. Hallways grow longer, rooms melt into each other, and nightmarish imagery appears without warning, creating a sense of disorientation. The lack of combat puts all the focus on atmosphere and psychological horror, with jump scares and creepy visuals unfolding as you move throughout the house. Layers of Fear excels at blending art and horror, using the painter's masterpiece as a metaphor for his mental decline. The story is told through environmental clues, haunting visual set pieces, and the painter's inner monologues, pulling you along with both the narrative and the eerie, unpredictable world. With its focus on narrative, surreal horror, and a constant feeling of unease, Layers of Fear is a gripping psychological experience that leaves a lasting impression on anyone who appreciates mind-bending, atmospheric horror. Okay, let's talk about the Outbreak series. Developed by Dead Drop Studios, Outbreak is a response to Resident Evil's pivot toward action. The series is a total throwback to the classic survival horror games of the late 90s and early 2000s. Beginning with Outbreak in 2017, the series has expanded into multiple entries, including Outbreak: The New Nightmare, Outbreak: Epidemic, and Outbreak: Shades of Horror. Each game places you in the midst of a zombie apocalypse, where you must survive against overwhelming odds. The series is known for its fixed camera angles, limited resources, and methodical combat, evoking a sense of tension and vulnerability. You scavenge for ammo, health, and supplies, while navigating through dangerous zombie-infested environments. Inventory management is crucial, and making the wrong decision can be deadly. The game often features solo and cooperative modes, allowing you to team up for survival or face the horrors alone, a feature I'll never turn down. Each entry introduces new mechanics and refinements, such as improved graphics and new perspectives, including first-person and over-the-shoulder camera angles. While the series may not have the polish of bigger-budget horror games, its dedication to recreating the feel of old-school survival horror with a modern twist has earned it a dedicated niche fanbase. Moving on to Maid of Sker. Developed by Wales Interactive and released in 2020, Maid of Sker is a first-person horror game inspired by Welsh folklore, set in 1898. The game takes place in the eerie and remote Sker Hotel, where you play as Thomas Evans, a musician trying to rescue his beloved Elizabeth from a supernatural force that has overtaken the hotel. The narrative is heavily influenced by the Welsh folktale of the same name. Gameplay is built around stealth-based survival mechanics, where you can't fight those out to kill you. Instead, you must use your wits to avoid detection by enemies known as the Quiet Ones. They're blind but highly sensitive to noise, adding an intense layer of tension as you sneak through the hotel to solve puzzles and uncover the dark secrets behind the curse that plagues the area. Known for its rich atmosphere, with a haunting, period-accurate setting, chilling sound design, and a strong sense of isolation. A key tool is the Phonic Modulator, a device that emits sound bursts to temporarily stun foes, giving you a brief window to escape. Even with its slow pace, it can be challenging for those unfamiliar with stealth-focused horror. Maid of Sker excels in creating a tense, atmospheric experience with a unique folklore-inspired narrative. Next up is Welcome to Hanwell. Developed by Steel Arts Software in 2017, Welcome to Hanwell is an open-world survival horror game set in the eerie, decaying town of Hanwell. A once thriving community, Hanwell has been overtaken by otherworldly occurrences and horrific creatures known as anomalies. You're a lone survivor who must navigate this hostile environment, uncover the mysteries behind the town's downfall, and fend off the nightmarish threats lurking around every corner. The gameplay focuses on exploration, survival, and solving environmental puzzles. You're free to roam Hanwell's open world, including various locations like schools, hospitals, and residential areas, each containing its own threats and challenges. As you explore, you'll encounter a range of terrifying enemies, each with different behaviors and strengths. While combat is possible, it's often better to avoid direct confrontation by using stealth and managing your limited resources carefully. The unsettling atmosphere is off the charts, with its use of darkness, creepy sound design, and unpredictable enemy encounters to create a constant sense of dread. The town is filled with cryptic clues and scattered documents that help piece together the story of how Hanwell went from a normal city to a nightmarish wasteland. The follow-up, called Beyond Hanwell, is currently in early access. That game looks insanely good, and I can't wait for the full release. Until then, Welcome to Hanwell offers an unpolished yet intriguing blend of open-world exploration and horror, with a haunting atmosphere. Now let's talk about Doki Doki Literature Club. No, seriously, didn't you learn not to judge a book, or in this case, visual novel, by its cover? Originally released in 2017 by Team Salvato, Doki Doki Literature Club is a psychological horror visual novel. At first glance, it seems like a million other lighthearted dating sims, where you join a high school literature club and interact with 4 cute girls: Sayori, Yuri, Natsuki, and Monika. However, beneath the cute aesthetic lies a dark and twisted story that delves into themes of mental health, obsession, and the manipulation of reality. An enhanced version called Doki Doki Literature Club Plus released in 2021, including new side stories that explore the relationships between the characters in greater depth, improved visuals, a music player, and a gallery filled with unlockable content. It also includes new clues and Easter eggs that further enrich the meta-narrative, breaking the fourth wall in unsettling ways. I'm not gonna say any more than that, but I did just get the platinum on this game and it was fantastic. So if you like your horror messed up, check out Doki Doki Literature Club. Last but not least is the highly anticipated sequel to The Forest with Sons of the Forest. Developed by End Night Games and released in 2023, Sons of the Forest builds on the survival horror elements of its predecessor, while introducing new mechanics, enemies, and an even more immersive open-world environment. You play as a survivor, sent to a remote island to find a missing billionaire, only to find yourself in a fight for survival against mutated creatures, hostile environments, and dwindling resources. This is a true survival horror game, with crafting, exploration, and survival in a sprawling, richly detailed island. You must gather resources, build shelters, craft weapons, and manage hunger and thirst to stay alive. The dynamic weather system and day-night cycle adds to the challenge, as enemies become more aggressive at night. Unlike the first game, Sons of the Forest introduces new companions, including an AI-controlled ally that can assist with tasks like gathering supplies and defending your base. The combat system has been refined, offering both melee and ranged options, as well as more diverse enemy types like cannibals and jacked-up mutants. Sons of the Forest also introduces more intricate underground cave systems, packed with horror and valuable resources, pushing you to balance the risks and rewards of venturing deeper into the island's dark mysteries. With improved visuals, better AI, and a much larger, more interactive world, Sons of the Forest enhances the intense survival experience of the original and is a must-play for fans of survival and horror games. Well, there you have it. 15 must-play horror games just in time for spooky season. Have you played any underappreciated horror games that I missed? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, hit like and of course subscribe. And if you want more of my gaming thoughts, check out my video right here. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.